No, Naresh.
This conference will now be recorded.
Rishida?
No, Naresh.
Okay, Afghan?
Bye, sir.
So I have a question, Naresh.
Sure.
Do we have the Lightning administration? That means do we need to know any new things there?
No, I don't think so. Lightning administration is nothing here. Same thing, you create the object in Classic is same way. You create the object or fields in Lightning. You added the layout in same way. They are slightly different. If you know the admin in Classic, easily you can do these things in Lightning also.
Okay.
Actually, if you don't know the admin part, then it's a issue. But if you know admin, so admin is somehow common in both.
Okay.
Good morning, Rahul.
Morning, Naresh.
Hi, Naresh.
Hey, good morning, Nikhil.
Morning.
Okay, so let
Naresh, were you able to add that IP address? I see that error, but did you try adding your IP address in the start?
no
Did
man,
that work?
later on I did not try. Okay, do one thing. Let's try to log in now. You will be getting the code I will be sharing just now.
Okay. Yep. You should have got a code very recently, like a few minutes ago.
Okay,
Let me just resend it.
let me check.
Yep. I just resent it. So just
It's 111314. Are you able to log in?
Yeah, Naresh, everything is fine. So I'm just making sure how not to get that verification code thing again. What do you think is the best thing to do,
Okay.
Naresh?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, once I log in, I won't get that verification code again, right? Or do I
See,
have to do
then,
something else?
now if you are using the same browser, then you won't be getting the code. You don't need the code. If you even you can try. Just log out and log in. You don't need
Yeah,
to
yeah,
provide
yeah.
any more code.
Okay, cool, that worked.
Okay. So let's start. Let me preview and see where we were started. So guys, any doubt till the time?
Not for me.
Okay. So I mean, we won't be getting any output here because we did not send to the component anything till the time. So we are getting the response here in the controller itself. Just- Okay. So here we are going to display the records.
We also didn't even set the variable, right? In the helper.
Yeah, we need to set the variables and define the even number of variables. So again, we have a couple of tags for input and the output purpose. So here we are going to display the output. So we can use UI colon output text. where basically we are going to provide the value. And if you want to see the documentation of this UI output text, like what are the attributes supported by this.
Okay, Naresh, why are you using output text? That we should actually use a iterator component, right? Because the method that we are using returns a list of contacts. Naresh, can you hear me?
Nikhil, just a moment, please.
I think you're on mute, Naresh. Can't hear you.
Sorry, Nikhil, what you said?
Ravi, can you hear? I mean, Naresh, can you hear me? Okay now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So I was asking, why were you using output text? Because we were supposed to iterate all the list of contacts and show them on the page,
So
right?
what will be that? That will be the input or output.
That will be output.
So definitely we need to use output tag.
Okay, but output text should be wrapped within an iterator, right? So, but we didn't see an iterator there in the
That is
component.
type C basically. That, but again, we are going to provide or display like a text. Name will be like a text or a string.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting like what's the issue here.
Okay, I'll let you complete that. I'll ask the question once you finish it. Go ahead,
Come
please.
on, please. So what I was saying like what are the properties of the output text? You can see. We do not have. Let me check in library.
Hey Ravi, I just joined now. So is the class started or you are just starting now?
Just started.
Oh, okay.
So as you can see, what are the specification of the output text? You can provide body attribute, you can provide class, you can provide value and title. So these are the attributes. What are the attributes means? Like here, I mean here, like we can provide value, we can provide body also, we can provide title. If we try to provide any, let's say, label, it won't be accepting that. You can see it's saying the attribute label wasn't found on the component, because you can see there is no attribute like label. So okay, yeah, Nikhil, what was your question? Let me reply.
Nothing, Naresh. Please go. Please proceed. I'll ask the question at a later stage. I
Okay,
think it's fine.
so what I will be going to do now here, because I need to iterate this list. Okay. Uh, So, guys, what I will be going to do, I will be going to include this component, this component in my list component, and here I will be going to iterate all the records. So I'm just starting with this. Let me use that. Let me iterate. Guys, what I will be going to use for iteration, what I need to use. Let me ask this question to Sneha.
We'll be using auto iteration,
Correct.
Naresh, over there.
So yeah, we'll be going to use the aura iteration, because last time I have been explained, like if you need to iterate over the list in case of VF page, so you will be going to use Apex page block table or data table. But in case of Lightning, we will be going to use aura iteration items equals to this variable. Even we are not setting anything, so we also need to set the response here.
What is the purpose of this, Naresh?
Because here we will be having the multiple records in the list, and we need to display them, so we will be going to iterate, guys. This is so lightweight, and ये बहुत दिन बाद लाइट गई है। सुबह सुबह मेरी क्लास में हर्डल भगवान। Sorry guys, actually
It just got disconnected.
it was power cut at my end.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so Karthik, basically what happened when you iterate over the list, so you cannot display all the records without iteration. So here we are looping out. That means we are fetching the data one by one, and that's in we are using or iteration. So we are iterating over the list to take the response. But there will be one contact, two contact, 10 contact, or more than that. Okay, that's the reason. So say in simple words, if you are going to iterate over the collection, over the list, or when you want to display the list of records either in VF page or in the Lightning components, so you need to iterate. So in VF page we use page lock table, data table, and the apex repeat, but in case of Lightning we use or iteration. Clear na? Today I will be going to tell you how to send data from one component to another component. This is very common question in interviews. If anyone has given any interview so far, so definitely they might have been faced this question. This is really very common question. What are the different ways to send data or some piece of information from one component to the another component? Guys, have you ever, I mean, anyone has attended the interview in Lightning? Anyone?
I did Naresh.
You did.
Yeah. They asked me a similar kind of question. So I think on the page, let's say you have four components and you have to display data from one component to other component.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say if you click on one thing on one component, it should display some values on the second component. Those kind of scenarios.
So basically there are three ways to send the data. First, using hierarchy. We can use hierarchy to send data from one component to another component. That means parent child. Another is using events by either app event, application event, or component event. Another is aura method, which is kind of new version or new I mean part of the new release in Salesforce. Even I did not yet implemented it, but soon I'm going to implement the third option. Till the time I was used to use these two, but now people are using this one also. There are three ways to send the data from one component to another component. So as of now, today I will be going to cover the first part, to send the data from one component to the other component. So here in the iteration itself, I need to include the component where I want to send the data. So this is the component where I want to send the data, display contacts. I need to include C colon display contacts. And here I'm closing this, but here what are the variables you want to send or you want to provide? You need to provide the variables here itself. So let's say I have declared the one attribute objcon. So I want to send some data from in this component from the parent one. Objcon equals to So what data you want to send? Let's say I want to send this. So here, I mean, we need to provide the number of variables as we want to send. Even we can provide the number of variables. Okay, now it's letting me save. If I'm going to change any name of the anything, it won't let me save. You can see objcon was not found the component display contacts. That means here. So because people used to get confused, like which one is referencing this component and which one is referencing the parent component. So basically when you are going to assign this value in this variable, means this variable belongs to this component because you are going to assign the value in this variable, and this variables will be part of this component as you are including. If I'm going to modify anything in it, so again it might be going to show the error. It might, because this is the local variable of this component, but we will be transferring data from this variable. So we need to provide the proper data, proper variable name here. So now we are sending this data to this component. This component means when we will be going to set the data from the JS file, that will be directly sending the data to this component, and here we are going to display that data. Clear? Or any confusion, guys? I'm not hearing anything from you.
So
So basically, it's very similar to using Visual Force components, right,
Correct.
Naresh? Similar to how you use
Correct.
components within the Visual Force page. Okay.
It's just like the components.
Yeah.
So the display list component is there are two different components, right? You said like display list components to list all the data, Naresh, and you are moving from there to here.
Correct. I mean, I'm sending. First I'm getting all the data and storing
Okay.
the data in this variable list of contacts, and I'm going to send all the contacts one by one to this component. I want to be
Okay.
sent.
The load contacts is the class
Sorry.
contacts, right? What in the action you have something called load contacts, right? Is that the class or that's row number 4 and the same one? Go to the back. Row number 4. That action C. That one, right? Load contacts.
This is JavaScript method. Yesterday I told you, na,
Oh, JavaScript method. Okay, got it.
against the controller.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
I don't see it on the tab. That's what I was checking. Okay.
Okay. No issues. So let me
Thank
set
you.
the response here. So as I said, like to set the response back to the component, we are supposed to use component dot set v dot variable name, and what we are going to set. I will going to set this list contacts. So when we again I'm repeating, if you are getting any value in the JavaScript from of the any variable or component variable, then you use component dot get to get the value. If you want to set some value from the JavaScript to the component variable, then we use component dot set. So these are the kind of getter and setter as we use in VFS. So if you want to get the value from the variable, you use component.get, and if you want to send some value to the component variable itself, then you use component.set.
Okay.
Okay, so it's saying like we are getting some issues. Or I don't log to component inside server evaluation. Let me do one thing here. Okay, same thing again. I'm getting the error. Actually, it's not able to read this component. It's getting some issues. Okay.
Line 8, sorry. Display D is capital, right?
Line 8. What you said, Nikhil?
Line 8, is that case sensitive? The yeah, it's D should be capital, right? At line 8. Line 8, the one you commented out.
I got it, but again, that should be capital. I got your point, but actually, it's not going in the iteration. Okay. Actually, there are some issues in the at the time of iteration here. Let me write again. Or iteration items equals to variable name v dot this context. Now let me see. No, I need to provide where also. Where equals to con. Or a load component built inside the application. Okay, but why? We are having the response at the component side, but our iteration isn't working. Let me try one more time. and 5 members. Let's see what happened. Still I'm having the same. Might be due to the internet issue because I'm using the hotspot, not having the good speed. But let me see. Let me preview this.
Try just copying that iteration component from our first component. That works
I'm
fine,
just
right?
copying this thing.
Second is very good.
Naresh, a quick question. Does it impact if we have a namespace in place when we are calling the components?
No, it won't. There is no. I mean, we are not using anything like namespace.
Okay.
अच्छा फुल पास करके जल्दी निकलना तो सो जाऊंगा
No, we are having the same thing. What we can have? Let me see the results. It's showing success. So यहाँ तो काम कर रहा है. Why it's not working here?
No.
This is something I'm not getting it. Yeah, now it's just working. So let me use the same component now. C colon here display context or run value of this one equals to inside.
What was the problem?
Okay, I'll tell you. We were using here array contact
Okay.
array. So it wasn't able to identify or read out that. So that time it was showing that issue. We can see. Now
Okay.
might be they have been deprecated this thing, but they have now a list. I mean directly we are able to give the list.
Okay.
Okay. So here we are able to now.
Can you check the other component also? There also you mentioned it as list only, Naresh, the first one.
No, we don't have list there.
Oh, okay. But it worked there, right? That place?
I mean we don't have array. We have list there. You can see.
Okay.
Might
Okay,
be
that's why it worked
the
there.
array concept has been deprecated by Salesforce. Not sure. Okay.
Okay.
So let
Okay.
me do one more thing inside app. Let me extend the standard style. For this day, you can see the UI. UI isn't looking good. Because we are not inheriting this style. So you can see now it's coming as a cards. Can you see this, guys?
Hello? Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. And let me give some header also. Div class equals to SLDS as is as header. Okay. It's looking a bit better. And if we can use the concept of layout, um, we can make it more comfortable and more beautiful compared to this thing. But for that you must need to know like how to use the layout concept. Layout is just like grid in via page. Have you Nikhil and any other who has been work on the classic part, have you worked on the grid system in via page?
No, what is that even used for, Naresh?
Sorry.
Layout is one attribute within a page
In
block or
layout,
something.
we have direct lighting layout. I mean, so it's a grid system. Let's say we are making the grid or like row and column, so we are categorizing that. Like particular we are dividing into the sections. the complete page to the sections. So we use grid system. Even then we have page also we have grid, and initially in Lightning we had the tags SLDS grids, but now we have Lightning layout. I mean that has been replaced. Let me show you in case of SLDS. Grid system in Lightning. You can see I mean it occupy a particular section in the page, like how many row and columns you want to display, and what this length width you want to display. So it's in same way. Initially we were supposed to use SLDS call, SLDS grid tags, but now we have the Lightning layout tags, Lightning layout and Lightning layout items. If I can display something, so you can see the code, and first we are just dividing it into the sections. I believe you must have been worked on in case of web pages also, which is a common thing in Classic.
I mean, I used to use page block sections with multiple columns.
Block section is something because that will be going to iterate over the complete page, not a particular section, because that only dividing the page into the sections.
Okay.
But if you're implementing this in VF page, right? This grid system can be done with the CSS itself, or
We have
I think
using Lightning layout we can do that. Okay.
no, in the VF page I'm asking. Usually they use with
page we have Apex grid something. We have tags for the grid. I mean proper tag for the grid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that there was a standard grid tag there. Okay. Can you, Naresh, can you show us an example of using a layout here? I mean, how different?
Definitely. That's the reason I'm talking on this concept.
Okay.
Because next step is the layout. Okay, let's do one thing. I mean, it's a very even common to have the drop downs. So I will be going to divide this page in chunks and the grid or the section using the Lightning layout. Okay. Inside Lightning layout, we can put the Lightning layout items, and in the layout items, we can define like what are the items you want and how many items you want. Lightning layout item. Let's say, and we need to use one CSS property here. Padding equal to horizontal and medium. Let's say layout item 1. Basically this is the part of the UI when either you or anyone of in your team who is actually working on the CSS part, designing part, definitely going to use this concept layout system. Developers are hardly able to use, but designers are mainly using this concept. You can see we have been divided into the subsections. I missed the number.
Do you not give any pixel values to that padding then, Naresh?
No, I'm using this horizontal medium. We can have a horizontal large as well, but they are the CSS property. You can see. Let me show you the property of Lightning layout. Component library. Let's go to this. So you can see Lightning layout and Lightning layout items. So this is the Lightning layout, and we have few options like padding. We can use around small, around medium, or horizontal medium. These are the properties. Basically, this property is supported by the Lightning layout. I can show you this here. Uh, this CS is not like that. Yeah. So basically, structure is this. Guys, just give me a moment. Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, so we can have the Lightning layout system, and we can divide the page into the grids. So these are the properties. You can see the documentation. If you want to read about this, you can read about these items. I mean, initially someone asked me like how we can have the description about and what are the tags we are going to use. So you can view the Lightning library. Here you can have all the tags. All the tags will just start with the Lightning. All the tags are here, and all the tags will start with other attributes or force chatter. So all the tags are there. So you can even go to the step by step. You can categorize these things. Okay. So let me define one thing. So there is one common property. We are supposed to use the drop down things. Here we can display the drop down in the layout itself. So for the drop down again, you have two options. Either you can query the list of record from the Apex, I mean pick list values, and you can iterate dynamically. or you can provide, if you have 2 to 3 values, so you can write those, you can hard code those values. Let me show you how we can make the drop down. What actually I'm talking about, let me show you that. Sales. Same thing, you can see the drop down values, and if you have 2 to 3 value, you can hard code. But if you have values in large number of value you have, then you can even query the data from the Apex, and you can display as part of the drop down. So as of now, I will be going to display the hard code values, and in the next session we can, or I mean after that, we can also see like how we can display the dynamic pixels values. So for that, we will be going to use Lightning Select. Okay. And so we have some attributes again. If you want to see the Lightning Select library, like what are the supported what are the attributes which are supported by the Lightning Select. Go to the specification, and you can see you can provide name, you can provide value, you can provide variant for the styling. You can provide read only something, disabled and read only properties also required. These are the properties, and these are the actions: on change, on blur, and even label you can see. So I will be going to use few attributes, one new concept. You did not heard about aura edit till the time. So basically, I will be going to explain this in case of component IDs. When I will be talking about the component ID, I will be going to explain this. Drop down, and in the label, like what label you want to have. I'm saying drop down values. You can put any name even. And if you want to, let's say I don't want anything now, and so I have been started like in this tag I will be going to provide some options where I can select the values. Yes, region name says Lightning Select. So here, I mean, whatever the values we are going to provide inside this, those will be selectable. We can select the value in that case. So for that we have option. Well, let's say first I will be going to define none. Whatever the number of values you want, you can define here. Let's say I'm talking about the rating: hot, warm, cold. You can see we are not getting any drop down value, even though we are having the value, but those are not displayed. Let me use, we might have missed some class option. Okay. Value, and there is one more property, text. So text we can provide in two ways, either like this, okay, and this. Now you can see we have the values. Let me change the values. So options has two properties. One is value, because whenever you will be selecting any value, so you will be sending that value to the JavaScript or the Apex. So from the value attributes you are getting the value. Text means what you want to display. For example, let's say I am having a hot. I want to display, but actually value will be hot, but I want to display something else. Let's say hot account. So on the UI label, it will be displaying hot account, but actually value will be the hot. You can see. So we have two things: value, which actually being treated when you are either sending it to the Apex or the JavaScript, and the rating. I mean, sorry, text. Text is something which you are going to display onto the UI.
So what's the difference between this lightning tag and Aura? Some places you are using Aura tag, some places lightning tag, right? What is it?
Aura is a framework, okay, which is providing
Yeah.
support to these tags.
Okay. So that lightning colon layout, that's a different tag you are using. Or
Like
the
column layout, yeah, this is the basically tag for UI.
okay.
Yes. Okay, so let's say if I'm selecting anything, I want to see what value I have been selected. So for that, as I said, like in the specification, we had some method.
Okay.
Was on these are the actions. You can see even we have like in the type itself they have defined.
Mm-hmm.
If on change there is action, and on focus it's action, on there it's action. You can define these actions to get the value, or in simple words, if I say, if I want to get the value of this drop down, like whatever the value is selected, I want to have the same value in the JavaScript controller. So for that, I am used to, I need to use any event. So I will be going to use on change, and on change here. That means whenever I will be changing anything, I will be calling this function. C dot this one. Let me define this function here. Let me use alert here. Whether we are able to call this or not, to identify first. Let me select any value. You can see we are getting the alert. That means on change, it's firing the event. Let's say I want to see the value, like what value I'm selecting. I want to utilize something. Let's say on the basis of selected value, I want to display some records. Or for example, as I'm displaying all the contacts, but when I'm selecting the value, let's say rating or any contact type, so on the basis of that I want to filter the records. So for that I need, what I need to do, I need to whenever I'm selecting any value, I need to send that value to the JavaScript, and from the JavaScript I need to send that value to the Apex, and in the Apex where I need to put it into the condition, then only I will be able to filter out the records. Let me show you the actual thing what I want to say. Let's say we are on the contact, we must have some drop down values. Let's say lead source, yeah. If on the UI I want to see, I want to filter out the leads on the basis of I mean I want to filter out the contacts on the basis of lead source. if I want to see I want to see in a single go all the contacts which are having lead source equal to public relations. So what I will be going to do, I will be selecting this value, and I will be firing the events on change event, and I will be calling the apex method where I will be putting this condition like where lead source equal to partner web shell or web or something else. On the basis of that, I will be querying the records and displaying the contact list. Got my requirement?
Okay.
So for that, see, I have been using or ID. So basically, on the tag itself, we have two IDs. Even I have mentioned in the component. One is your local ID, and another is global ID. So till the time we are supposed to use global ID, but now we are all going to use the local ID. Local ID or ID, which basically imply on any particular component or tag, and which help us to find out the value of that tag.
Okay.
Means whatever the value I'm selecting, I can find out that value on the basis of or by help of or ID. How? Let me show you that. Again, we have syntax for that. We will be going to use that syntax component dot find then id or id. So here it will be going to find in the component itself where we have like id equal to drop down. So it will be coming here and seeing like, yeah, we have the drop down, I mean or id drop down here. It will be picking the value of this attribute.
So, Naresh, that's similar to how you get the component by ID in the JavaScript when you write some
Yes,
HTML.
kind of. Because I mean, document dot get element by ID kind of thing.
Yep. Yep.
Because even though we can use the document dot get element by ID also, but if we have the standard way, so why we need to use those row elements?
Right. Makes sense.
On change, drop down hot. Even though in text you can see it's hot account, but value we got hot. Drop down change, we got warm. Drop down change, we got cold. So guys, I mean, as of now, we are displaying all the contact records, but tomorrow I will be filtering out these on the basis of selected value. Okay.
Okay.
So any question, Karthik, Nikhil, Rahul, Rishita, Sneha, Afghan.
Okay, Naresh.
So any question you have?
Naresh, I have a question.
Bro, tell me.
So I understand, I mean, I understand whatever the code you have written and all that, that's fine. So the question is more about just an architecture. So let's say we created two components, right? One component was iterating and displaying each contact in a Lightning pad, and the other component was responsible for getting all the list of contacts from the JS helper, right? Okay, my question is, if let's say if we have these two components, and also I need another functionality where I would need to show the list of accounts similar to what we're doing here. Where can we reuse it and what can we reuse?
So see, basically, for example, let's say you want to display the account and the contact records on the by using two different
No,
components.
no, no,
Okay, so
no, 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 no. That's not what I asked. I just in design perspective, what component that we have already created for contacts can be reused to show any other S object list?
You can you can reuse that on the basis of conditions. Like when you want to display the contact records, so you need to enable the contact layout or contact section, and when you want to display the account records, so you can enable the account layout or account section. You need to put the conditions.
Okay.
I mean, like the blocks, where you will be going to display the records of particular object.
I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, I understand that is possible, but is there a more dynamic way of, figuring it out, or just having an S object list instead of using? So let's say if you can write if and else conditions, you can write 10 or 20. But what if I want to reuse for 100 other objects?
See, basically,
There has
we
to be
have
more.
a dynamic component creation concept here, but again, same thing. You can utilize that, but you need to do code in JavaScript on it. So you need to write the code either in component itself or in the JavaScript.
Okay. Yep, that's fine. I'll just give it a try and I'll ask you if I have any questions.
Sure, sure. Okay, guys.
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Tell me.
Yeah, actually, I have like we use like drop down ID right in the controller.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back to controller so that I can show you? Yeah, in line number 9, we use like a get v dot value. So we didn't write the value. So what is the mean by a value?
The default
I didn't
syntax.
get it.
This is a default syntax
It's a
what we are going to get the value. Basically, this
okay,
is
it's a default syntax.
syntax, and the changeable thing will be this ID, drop down ID. You can use any ID, the same syntax to get the value.
All right, okay.
You will be going to
Yeah.
find the component. I mean, it will be going to find the ID with this name, and it will be returning the instance. And from the instance, we are getting the value.
Okay, okay. From the drop down list, it will get like you find the value from this v dot value, right?
Correct, correct.
Okay, okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. So let's connect tomorrow, and I mean, might be we'll be connecting weekends also this time on coming Saturday and Sunday. I'll inform you prior if there any change or anything.
I may not be available on Sunday.
On Sunday or Saturday.
I think Sunday, which
Okay,
is
so
your son. Saturday, okay, but Sunday.
I mean, what it should be your I believe so Wednesday, right? At your place,
Uh,
it will be Wednesday. Wednesday.
no, Saturday, your time means it's Friday night for us. Saturday, I will be available. But Sunday means Sunday morning means for us it's Saturday night.
So you want to be available on Saturday night, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is your Sunday morning. I mean, one day we can have it.
We'll plan accordingly, okay? And Karthik, you please connect with Abhilash because I mean.
Yes, I already WhatsApp message him. I'm
Uh-huh.
waiting for his message. As soon as done, I will connect it, and I will keep you posted. I will update you.
Okay, cool, guys. So and
Thank you.
we'll be going to stretch the duration after. I mean, rather than 1 hour, we'll be having the session for 1.5 hours every day. Because I believe you are comfortable with the tags and the syntax and the flow. This is more focused on the uh, practical things rather than the theoretical till the time. So from this, since the beginning, I'm used to write the code itself rather than having the theoretical knowledge. But I believe after this example, I need to speed up the session. Okay. So I will be going to stretch the time. It might be 1.5 hour each day.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Bye bye. Thanks for joining. Let's connect tomorrow same time.
Thanks, Naresh. Bye.